Hey, André. Good morning.
Good morning, Dawn. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So take me through, we've heard, you and I have talked so many times about in Pennsylvania and the Pennsylvania vote as far as why so many people here. And this is a huge issue in Pennsylvania when you think about land rights, when you think about the jobs. But when you hear this news of what the Biden administration is doing just today, as far as, this issue, what do you see and how much of an impact do you really think that it has on the incoming, soon to be incoming in 2 weeks, Trump administration?
Right. Well, honestly, should anyone be surprised? What a ridiculous thing to do out the door. And, President Biden saying he wants this to be a part of his, or whoever's putting out statements for him these days, that they want it to be, part of his climate change legacy. The truth is, this is it's not a climate change legacy. This is a legacy of higher costs for everyone and virtue signaling that at the end of the day harms the middle class, harms lower income Americans, and fundamentally harms America's ability to be energy independent and have energy security. So what the actual impact? Real quick, what President Biden has done in the last days of his administration is he's banned new offshore oil and gas drilling. And this is obviously an attempt to try to make a dent in President Trump's promise. What he got elected on, certainly what people in Pennsylvania supported, was American energy dominance. They want American energy security. We want to be able to have affordable, reliable, and secure energy. That was the resounding victory that we saw. This was what polling time and time and again had showed. And now President Biden is trying to have a dent in that. What the actual impact will be is yet to be determined. I've been doing some analysis this morning and over the weekend when we were hearing that this might be coming. So it's unclear exactly what this would do to actual production. But this is more about, again, it's a virtue signal. And the reason I think they're doing this is because a lot of the Biden regulations, things that you and I have talked in the past about, Dawn, like the EPA power plant rule and a lot of these other really draconian, really crazy environmental regulations that are just going to raise energy costs for everybody. A lot of these regulations, President Trump can reverse on day one. What's unique about this one is because this is a part of, essentially, it's a legacy legal issue with U.S. waters because of the conditions of what offshore drilling would do. So this is one of those things that President Trump really can't reverse with the stroke of a pen. This reversal of what Biden did today is going to require an act of Congress. Now, of course, Republicans control Congress, so certainly this needs to be a top priority for the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate to reverse this order and work with the Trump administration, work with incoming Energy Secretary Chris Wright to correct the course on this so that we can unleash American energy dominance. So I'm not sure how much of an impact this really would be, but it's certainly something that the new administration, the new Congress could correct in the early days of this year.
So apparently Trump this morning was on Hugh Hewitt's show earlier this morning, or it was pre-taped or whatever, where he said he would undo it or unban it immediately, saying it was
that audio if you want
ridiculous. Oh, okay, let's listen. Thanks, Dan.
Mm-hmm. Got to get things done. We don't get them done. I see it just came over that Biden has banned all oil and gas drilling across 625 million acres of U.S. coastal territory. It's ridiculous. I'll unban it immediately. I will unban it. I have the right to unban it immediately. What's he doing? Why is he doing it? We have something that nobody else has. Nobody has to the extent we have it, and it'll be more by the time we finish because I'll be able to expand. We're going to expand our country, and it'll be more. We have oil and gas, and whether you manufacture widgets or gadgets or whatever you happen to be doing, some countries have to work very hard to do that. We do too, and we will. But we have oil and gas at a level that nobody else has, and we're going to take advantage of it. And when I see somebody saying he's going to ban 625 million acres, he doesn't know what that is. He doesn't even know what 625 million acres would look like. And we can't let that happen to our country. It's really our greatest economic asset, and we're not going to let that happen to our country.
I swear I did not give my cold to the president-elect. It sounds like everybody has this cold, I swear. But you just alluded to this, André Béliveau, and you're such a policy expert on many issues, but energy especially. So Trump, does he need, can he undo a piece of it, but does he need an act of Congress to completely undo what Biden has done today?
Right. I mean, there's plenty of things that the Biden administration have done that President Trump absolutely has the executive authority to overrule. This one might not be one of those. Again, I think you might see some legal challenges in the court. There might have been some changes with how agencies operate because of the reversal of Chevron doctrine. But traditionally, because of these legacy laws that have to deal with U.S. territorial waters, and particularly with drilling offshore, this is probably going to take an act of Congress. Again, and because Republicans have control of both chambers of Congress, I think that will be easier to reverse. And I'm sure that President Trump's administration will be working with Congress to ensure that this is reversed. But it's unclear exactly because of these, some things that have changed in the courts, if he can do it immediately. But certainly all of the pieces of government are in place with the current control of the executive branch. And, of course, now with the federal legislature, the pieces are in place to reverse this. I think it's just a matter of how long that will take.
And I have to ask the next question because over the holiday, our water heaters went out. And so shout out to Marvin E. Cans, who the guys came, it was like days before Christmas, and they're putting in new water heaters. But there was a headline that Biden will, exact new bans on certain types of water tanks and water heaters, and then who that would impact, presumably people who might live in smaller spaces, maybe senior citizens, that sort of thing, or lower income folks. What do you make of that so-called water heater ban?
Well, I mean, we've heard this story before, right? It's the gas water heater ban now. Before it was gas stoves. Again, all of this, fundamentally at the bottom of this harms the middle class. This harms low-income Americans. This is not about climate change. This is really about targeted degrowth. It's about targeted deindustrialization, whether it's in people's homes, raising the cost of living, or whether it's our reliable power plants that they want to take offline. This has very little to do with the environment. The environment is good window dressing for some really radical Marxist economic policies and cultural and social civic policies that they put in place, and they're just using all of these energy and so-called climate policies to enact some pretty radical stuff. Again, people should have energy choice. You should be able to have the freedom of choice of what are going to be the right appliances for my home, what's going to be my affordable option. If they want electric water heaters, if someone wants to put rooftop solar on their house, they should be allowed to do that. But it shouldn't be subsidized. We shouldn't be subsidizing rich people's solar panels on their house. And we certainly shouldn't be subsidizing all of these kinds of crazy things that are just going to raise costs for everybody. People need economic choice and the freedom to do these things. And like we talked about, Dawn, a lot of these things at the state level, especially in Pennsylvania, we need our lawmakers in Harrisburg to be working on some serious permitting reform. Yeah. We need our lawmakers to be doing some, pullbacks on our regulatory state to give people more economic freedom and more choice. And when you talk about things like, banning natural gas water heaters or natural gas stoves, that's just removing choice from people for some pretty arbitrary reasons. But the real impact of that is going to be higher electric bills, higher energy costs, higher fuel costs. And that was rejected at the ballot box. So I think it shouldn't be shocking to anyone that this is happening in the last days of the administration, but I think people should feel a sense of promise coming, that there are people in place now who hopefully will be putting forward the correct policies to make including energy, but our everyday lives more affordable.